He was born into chaos, a world of crumbling empires and clashing warlords. He would end up a legend, but his story isn't a fairy tale. This is the story of a man who seized history by the throat, a prince who killed his own brothers to claim a throne, and an emperor who forged one of the greatest golden ages the world has ever seen. This is the story of Li Shimin, Emperor Taizong of the Tang dynasty. Forget everything you think you know about emperors. This one wrote the rulebook and then broke it. Imagine China at the turn of the 7th century. The once mighty Sui dynasty is collapsing under rebellion and famine. It's a brutal, dog-eat-dog world. Into this fiery landscape, a young man named Li Shimin steps onto the stage of history. He wasn't even the heir apparent, just the second son of a general named Li Yuan. But from the very beginning, Li Shimin was different. He possessed a military genius and a charisma that were impossible to ignore. At the tender age of 18, while most young men were still finding their way, Li Shimin was leading armies. He wasn't just a figurehead, he was on the front lines, devising brilliant strategies and leading the charge against rival warlords. It was his decisive victories, one after another, that paved the way for his father, Li Yuan, to march on the capital, overthrow the corrupt Sui dynasty, and declare the founding of a new dynasty, the Tang. The year was 618 CE, and a new era had begun, largely thanks to the ambition and skill of a teenager. But with victory came a new, more dangerous conflict, this time within his own family. As the Tang dynasty settled into power, a fierce rivalry brewed between Li Shimin and his two brothers, the crown prince Li Jianqing and his younger brother Li Yuanji. His brothers saw his popularity, his military prowess, and the loyalty he commanded from the army's best generals. They didn't see a hero, they saw a threat. They controlled the court and the capital, while Li Shimin controlled the military. The tension was suffocating. Plots were hatched, accusations flew, and it became clear that only one side could survive. What happened next is one of the most dramatic and controversial events in Chinese history. On a summer morning in 626 CE, at the Xuanwu Gate, the main northern entrance to the palace city, the simmering rivalry exploded into violence. Li Shimin, learning of a plot to assassinate him, decided to strike first. He laid an ambush for his brothers as they headed to court. In a swift, brutal confrontation, Li Shimin personally killed his older brother, the crown prince. His men took care of the younger brother. It was a ruthless coup, a bloody gamble that shocked the empire. He had eliminated his rivals in the most permanent way possible. With his brothers dead, the path to the throne was clear. Just days after the bloody events at Xuanwu Gate, his father, Emperor Gaozu, was faced with an undeniable reality. His most powerful son now held all the cards. In a move that was less a retirement and more a forced abdication, Li Yuan stepped down. Li Shimin ascended the dragon throne, becoming Emperor Taizong, the second ruler of the Tang dynasty. He had secured his destiny through bloodshed, but now the real challenge began. How to rule? How could a man who seized power so violently bring peace and prosperity? Many expected a reign of terror, but Taizong proved them wrong. He was as brilliant a statesman as he was a general. Instead of purging the court, he reached out to his former rivals' advisors, valuing their talent over their past loyalties. He understood that an empire wasn't just won on the battlefield, it had to be governed with wisdom. He balanced military might with shrewd diplomacy, reforming the government and creating a stable, efficient administration. He negotiated with neighboring states from a position of strength, earning respect and securing the borders. His greatest external threat came from the Eastern Turks, powerful nomadic confederations that had long raided China's northern frontier. They had even humiliated his father by surrounding him in the past. Taizong would not let this stand. In 630 CE, he launched a masterful military campaign. Using a combination of brilliant tactics, powerful cavalry, and exploiting internal divisions among the Turks, his general Li Jing achieved a swift and total victory. The Turkic Khaganate was shattered. This victory was so complete that the tribes of Central Asia, in awe of his power, bestowed upon him a new title, Tian Kehan, or Heavenly Khan, acknowledging him as their overlord. With the borders secure, Taizong turned his full attention inward, ushering in an era of such peace and prosperity that it became known as the Reign of Zhengguan. This wasn't just about wealth. It was a cultural and political golden age. He commissioned a new legal code that would become the model for all of East Asia. He reformed the tax and land systems to ease the burden on peasants, which spurred incredible economic growth. The arts and poetry flourished, and the capital, Chang'an, became the most cosmopolitan city in the world, a crossroads of cultures, religions, and ideas. At the heart of this success was Taizong's belief in meritocracy. He dramatically expanded and standardized the imperial examination system. This meant that government officials were chosen based on their knowledge and ability, not just their noble birth. For the first time, talented men from humble backgrounds had a clear path to rising to the highest positions in the empire. This created a more competent and loyal bureaucracy and fundamentally reshaped Chinese society, creating a system that would endure for over 1,000 years. What was perhaps most remarkable about Taizong was his humility, a rare trait in an emperor with absolute power. He actively encouraged his ministers to criticize him. He established a culture of open debate in his court, famously telling his advisors that a good emperor must listen to honest feedback, like a mirror that reflects one's flaws. He even kept a court historian, whose job was to record everything, including the emperor's mistakes, so that future generations could learn from them. He once said, "Using copper as a mirror, one can straighten their clothes. Using history as a mirror, one can understand the rise and fall of states. Using people as a mirror, one can see one's own gains and losses." Emperor Taizong's legacy is immense. He was a complex figure, a ruthless warrior who could kill his own kin, and a wise philosopher king who listened to criticism and cared for his people. This blend of iron-fisted resolve and enlightened governance laid the unshakable foundation for the Tang dynasty as century-long golden age. He is consistently ranked as one of the greatest emperors in China's long history, a ruler whose reign became the benchmark against which all others were measured. From the chaos of a fallen dynasty, he forged an empire of unparalleled brilliance. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the life of Emperor Taizong fascinating, please hit that like button, subscribe for more stories from history, and let me know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to see next. Until next time, stay curious.